Greetings. Now, many white British and European people have always been taught to feel proud of their white history, but kept in the dark about how it directly relates to Black or African history. Now, explorers such as Sir Walter Raleigh of tobacco fame and Christopher Columbus, who apparently discovered America as if he was there first, the British monarchy, and the battles won over the centuries, the Industrial Revolution, the scientific innovations, and the greats such as Shakespeare, Brunel, and all the rest. Now, this Eurocentric version of European history doesn't even acknowledge the huge wealth and advancement in civilization gained from the horrific slave trade that built the UK and other European countries. Without racism and the slave trade, the UK, Europe, and USA would still be developing nations. This immense Western gain was at the expense of stealing and destroying the people and advanced civilization of Africa. It doesn't tell us that Britain and Europe stripped Africa of its wealth and resources. The whole continent, apart from Ethiopia, was colonized at the expense of African people who became a traumatized race, thanks to greedy white Europeans. The Great British Empire was something to be proud of, but it was only built from the vast suffering and loss of people of color. We were told about the abolitionists, but not about the banks and other institutions that provided insurance to slave traders for their stolen Black Africans. We were told about our great Christian religions and the kings and queens of the British monarchy, but not that they were actively involved with the slave trade itself. We learned about white saviors, but not about the many racist individuals who systematically terrorized and murdered Black people. Systemic racism didn't just hurt Black people, but it also conditioned white people to believe they are naturally superior. Black people, through the media, news and films, etc., have historically been portrayed as pathetic, inferior, less intelligent, less educated, less capable, less important, less human. Now, many British people in this Eurocentric system want to believe that what they are doing to tackle racism, unfairness, and injustice is progress. However, when Black people try to explain their experiences of racism, medical racism, institutional racism, or why certain laws hurt Black people so much harder, many white people are confused and defensive, denying the reality of Black people's experience of racism because they just cannot understand it. To become a non-racist, let alone anti-racist, requires a completely open mind. You have to reject what you think you know about race and racism and acknowledge you may have been wrong about it all along. Your way of thinking must be challenged enough to then be able to understand racism and see the world in a completely different way. Only then will you completely get racism. Most racism is invisible to white people. They cannot recognize what Black people see and experience all the time. Racism is minimized because most white people cannot comprehend how painful and traumatizing it is, let alone repeatedly suffering racism, often on a daily basis throughout our lives. Imagine how white people would cope if they were on the receiving end of relentless racism throughout their lives. Imagine. This invisible racism can be described as racial microaggressions or systemic or institutional racism. Racism is learned. It becomes ingrained in how to think and do everything in a Eurocentric system on which the UK is built. Now, many white people are often oblivious and cannot recognize their own racism. When this is pointed out to them, they are outraged. They defend and deny any racism because black people cannot be right even about their own experience of racism. Now that really hurts because on top of being racist towards us, we're now called liars as well. Many white people convince themselves that they understand racism, but you need to really get it and overstand it from a black Afrocentric way of thinking to fully comprehend the enormity of the problem for black people and everyone else. Many white people don't take racism seriously. They don't question their Eurocentric brainwashing and cannot even comprehend they are part of the problem in unknowingly perpetuating racism. Institutional racism will never affect them anyway, so white people don't need to worry. But it's not about guilt, and it's not about blame. It's about repair. It's about understanding racism in the context of British and European history and how white people have been so conditioned to think this way. For the record, the black race has always been oppressed by the white race. Never the other way around. Many black people already know this history. White people need to know it too, because it's everybody's history. I mean, silence and misinformation keeps black people in our place. Haven't we suffered enough as a race? Be inquisitive. Think differently. And please understand what black people have to put up with, mostly in silence. My name is Ibu Sanya, Afrocentric educator, lecturer in Afrocentric Black history, anti-racism, racial trauma, generational racial trauma, black mental health and racism. Please like and follow. I appreciate you. Thank you for viewing.